As you may already know, my name's Clare Baker and I'm a former clutterholic and borderline hoarder. I successfully cleared all my clutter over 20 years ago without the need for an expensive home visit. And I've been helping people around the world do exactly the same thing ever since, so that they too can know what it's like to live a completely clutter-free life forever. One of my missions is to dispel a lot of the decluttering myths that are perpetuated by most of the decluttering TV programs, books, and experts by explaining exactly why they are myths. So today I want to explain the myth that you have to feel motivated to do the doing. Now, if that was true, I would never have successfully cleared my clutter. Here are 5 reasons why it's a myth that you have to feel motivated to do the doing. First, because of your motivational wave. On your journey, you'll learn about and experience the motivational wave. It's got 7 key stages. So the first stage is shock and overwhelm, followed by denial. The third stage is frustration and resistance. The fourth is low mood, lack of energy, and focusing on the negatives. Then you turn a corner with your motivation and move on to the 5th stage, which is being willing to try clutter clearing differently, which then leads on to the 6th stage of feeling more motivated and positive. And finally, the 7th stage of your motivational wave is feeling highly motivated and focusing on the positives. You can't skip stages. Every time you give up, procrastinate, and then decide to try again, you go back to stage number 1, shock and overwhelm. Most people get stuck in a cycle of giving up at stage 4. Clearly, if you're waiting to feel motivated, you're going to wait a long time. The second reason why it's a myth that you have to feel motivated to do the doing with your clutter is because action triggers motivation, not the other way round. As Stephen King said, amateurs sit and wait for inspiration. The rest of us just get up and go to work. Motivation is the result of action, not the cause. Action triggers the feeling. Therefore, if you wait to feel motivated, you are unlikely to do the doing unless there is an imminent negative consequence to not doing the doing that triggers fear. That rarely happens when you're dealing with your clutter. And even if it does, it sends you into the panic zone where you're not able to go at a safe pace, do the learning, or make balanced, realistic decisions. As a result, you blitz, which never works because it's driven by fear, not motivation. What's more likely is that your clutter triggers overwhelm, despair, guilt, depression, shame, and embarrassment, none of which have imminent negative consequences, and therefore they just fuel your procrastination. The third reason it's a myth that you have to feel motivated to do the doing with your clutter is because of dopamine. If you are doing the doing towards a goal that you want to achieve, it will trigger the feel-good hormone dopamine, the reward hormone. Your brain connects this feel-good hormone with the action, which makes it easier, not necessarily easy, to do it next time because your brain expects to get more dopamine like the previous time. And maybe it will get more when it does the doing for longer. When you feel motivated, it's the dopamine you're feeling, and that's only triggered when you do the doing. The fourth reason it's a myth that you have to feel motivated to do the doing with your clutter is because of the difference between intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Not all motivation is equal. Intrinsic motivation comes from within and is triggered by the dopamine that results from doing the doing. Extrinsic motivation comes from outside in the form of reward and acknowledgement that triggers the dopamine. Again, it's a feeling triggered by doing the doing, not a feeling that triggers doing the doing. To succeed, people on their journey need extrinsic motivation and accountability to make the time to do the doing. And once they are in a routine of doing the doing, being a steady turtle and getting that dopamine hit regularly, they become intrinsically motivated and are more likely to be able to continue on their own, although they usually need to continue having the accountability and support to continue their routine of doing the doing until it becomes a new automatic habit. People on the DIY journey option without any extrinsic support and acknowledgement, so the social gatherings, the weekly Wednesdays, the one-to-ones, for example, to get through the bad days and the tough weeks we all have, usually get stuck on the climb of step one. Not because they don't want to do it, they just struggle to get into a routine of doing the doing that triggers the dopamine that leads to the intrinsic motivation. The fifth and final reason why it's a myth that you have to feel motivated to do the doing with your clutter is because in the long term, routine is more important than motivation. Motivation is like the honeymoon period. It doesn't last. People will often start their journey feeling intrinsically motivated. They may begin enthusiastically watching their journey videos when they can, learning things that make so much sense and relate to their experiences. And then they start to feel the discomfort that we know to expect in the learning and change zone. They are being a successful snail or a steady turtle or maybe even a powerful elephant. After the first few weeks or the first clutter clearing term, the discomfort of what they're learning and realizing starts to cancel out the dopamine hit that they're getting from simply doing the doing. Resistance starts to appear, and before they know it, their intrinsic motivation has disappeared. What's more important is to do the doing regularly so that you can trigger the dopamine regularly and ensure there's always enough that the resistance can never overpower that motivation. What will enable you to do this? Routine. Do your journey videos on the same days at the same time. Make it part of your morning, afternoon, or evening routine. Never leave more than 72 hours between each journey video session. Just as we don't necessarily want to do exercise or brush our teeth, we do it because it's part of our routine, and we do them without the expectation that we will feel motivated. As Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. So in summary, there are 5 stages to the motivational wave that you have to go through before you feel motivated. Motivation is triggered by dopamine. Dopamine is triggered by doing the doing. If you wait to feel motivated, you need to know that you will never get into a routine of making and protecting the time to do the doing. You will never trigger the dopamine to feel good about your journey or stay motivated. You will never develop intrinsic motivation, and you will continue to procrastinate and justify why you haven't done the doing that you need to do to succeed. You can clear your clutter fast or you can clear your clutter forever, but you can't clear your clutter forever fast. If you're ready to get the help and support that you need to clear your clutter forever, click on the link with this video and find out how I can help you.